I'm Karen Murakami. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and currently living in Torrance, California, Southern California.
Hello, my name is Glenn Murakami. My pronouns are he, him, his.
Our Christian denomination is United Methodist. My relationship is that I am a mother of 2 gay sons and 1 gay son-in-law.
I am the father of the 2 gay sons and the father-in-law of a gay son-in-law.
What I've known about our children to be true is our oldest son, Derek, I think he's always just been uniquely who he is. He's always never tried to fit a mold. So he's always just, I think, been somebody who kind of walks a certain path and knows what that path is, and has just followed that, and not really been influenced too much by outside people trying to influence him about something else that they think he should be doing. So he really always just kind of had a mind of his own. What I've known about my younger son, Kyle, I think is just he on the flip side has always just been one of those people. He's very social and did like to fit in. So he maybe tended to, try to fit in a little bit more, but, still doing it knowing, I think, at least from my opinion, what was right and wrong.
And as for me, the truth about my older son is that he has always been very confident in who he is. He never looked for a peer acceptance outside of his small group of friends. He was, again, always seemed to be confident about what he believed in, what he wanted to do. For example, both my sons were in Boy Scouts, and my older son became what they refer to as a senior patrol leader, very confident in his leadership skills. The scouts in the troop respected him. They sometimes feared him because of his disciplinary actions, but of course, he was doing it out of trying to teach them lessons, and it wasn't abusive at all, but certainly he learned his leadership skills and built character in that role in the Boy Scouts. My younger son, very, I guess, individual who liked to explore, to just go out there and be challenged by new adventures. For example, after college, he spent a year in Africa on a mission trip to help start a health clinic. And he went out there by himself without support from his organization other than, I guess, financial support. But he was out there on his own and learned how to do things just on his own. So very confident in that way, not afraid of taking chances.
I think what has really been evident in knowing about them since they've come out, I think our younger son, I did feel during college and a little bit after college that he was really trying to kind of explore who he was. And I will just say, now that he is out, I just feel like he is so at peace. I feel like he's just so at peace being able to be who he is and, not having to question anymore. That to me has just become really evident with our younger son. With Derek, I just think his coming out was almost more of a matter of fact. And so he, again, just, has continued to just confidently be who he is. I think the thing that I admire most since he's come out is the fact that professionally he is very out, and it's important to him that the company he works for supports and allows him to continue to do work that he wants to in the LGBTQ community in his profession. So that side of him, I think, has been a surprise to see him really kind of step into that type of a role.
And what I saw in our older son, Derek, after he came out was just a continued confidence in who he was. He was very helpful in the process of in our journey of us coming out to our family and our friends, and helped us through that journey. Whenever we had questions, he was there to answer questions for us. So we felt that he was a good resource for us. So that was good to know that he was there for us and was not afraid, not hesitant to answer questions for us. For Kyle, I think, as Karen mentioned, just being at peace that he was out, that he didn't have to pretend he was somebody else who wasn't. So he was able to be authentic in his identity, and no longer afraid to let friends, family, so forth know who he was.
Well, Kyle, I guess the way that we reacted when our boys came out, Kyle, our younger son, actually came out first. It was in November 2013. And candidly, I think Glenn and I can both admit, Kyle coming out was quite a shock. We had no idea. And his conversation with us was maybe 5 minutes. But I will say, I do think we were both very supportive. I mean, we immediately told him that we loved him. It didn't change how we felt about him. And so I think in that respect, he felt like, he had our support. But we continued to have conversations over the next few weeks and months about, his coming out. And then our older son, Derek, came out about 3 weeks later. So it was in the same month. And I will say, for us, Derek coming out was not a surprise. I think we had anticipated the conversation we had initially had with Kyle to have happened with Derek. So in fact, we even said that. After Kyle came out, we both kind of looked at each other, and it was such a surprise. And we had said, if that were Derek, it wouldn't have been so shocking. But, I think, so it's the same thing, for Derek coming out, it wasn't a surprise. I think we had thought, that he might be gay, but we were just waiting for him to share that with us. So, but same, he knew we were very accepting and loving, and didn't change how we felt about him.
And I would agree with everything Karen shared about the boys coming out. I was in shock when Kyle came out to us. As Karen said, it was a very brief conversation in our church parking lot after an event. And as we drove home that evening, it was just, again, we're just, I guess, trying to adjust to what he had shared with us. And so we had, it took a while for us to start asking questions of each other first, then of Kyle. And as she shared, Derek coming out was not a surprise to me and to us. And it was a very natural process that when he came out, it was just an affirmation of what we thought.
I think our Christian beliefs impacted us differently. I actually grew up Buddhist. And so I converted before Glenn and I got married. It's not that, we didn't attend, Christian church, United Methodist Church from the time we got married and as our boys were growing up. But I think for me, it was much easier. I mean, I really just immediately took the perspective that God loves everybody. And so, at least for me personally, I don't feel like I dealt with a lot of conflict about just believing that God loved my boys. And it didn't matter that they were gay. I do believe that was a bit different for Glenn.
Mm-hmm. As I had shared, I'm a pastor's kid, so my Christian beliefs over all these years made it difficult for me to first accept. Yes, first I was I was a father who loved his sons, so that became the priority. But I had to struggle with my Christian beliefs that I had not fully believed, but I had heard in the church that being gay was a sin, and that part of my upbringing had to be relearned, and ultimately, full circle, learned that God loves all his children regardless of their identity and who they love. So that took some time. It was a 2 or 3 year process before I came to that full circle.
I think how we support our kids today is we still very openly, talk to them about their lives and, what's going on with them. I think as Glenn mentioned, one of the blessings that actually we have is Derek, our older son, is so educated in the LGBTQ community. And so I think as, things change, terminology changes, we're constantly trying to keep ourselves educated. So I think the plus side for us is that we have somebody like Derek who's been such a great resource and is always willing to have a conversation. But I think the other piece of it too is that at least we both have felt it's just so important to be advocates for our sons. So we've been doing a lot of, volunteer work, advocacy work in this area. And it's just been really important to us to, kind of share our story and, talk to people. And I think especially in the Christian community where it can be so hurtful. And it was for our younger son. Being in the church was a very hurtful experience when he came out. So I think it's just, for me too, as a mother, it's just, kind of put more fire in me to, be there to support him and to help, maybe push the Christian church in a different direction of being more accepting.
As Karen and I mentioned, what we have done since the boys came out to support them is our work in the community to share our stories, especially in the Asian Pacific Islander community. Excuse me. The biggest element that we had to face was the element of shame. In the Asian community, we don't talk about our problems, our issues. We try to hide them. And if it's not widely accepted issue, then the element of shame comes up. So we had to force our way through that and share our stories so that other parents, other individuals would not be afraid of sharing their stories. So we, at our local church, started a parent support group, and we had a presentation to the congregation of sharing our stories. There was 7 or 8 couples who shared their stories, individuals, and we're just more than pleased to see that there was a large outpouring of love and acceptance from our sharing. So that has been a pleasant journey for us. And from that experience, we helped form a support group called Open Arms at our local church. And since our absence in Texas, our older son, Derek, took over that group to help keep it going. During the pandemic, it's been challenging, and now that we're back in Southern California, we hope to, reinvigorate that group, reorganize it, and get it going again.
The most important thing to me is to have conversation. I think it's so important. I believe in most cases that I've seen, I think people are afraid of what they don't know. And I think that if, like Glenn and I, we were so uneducated in this area when our boys came out. I feel like we've learned so much by asking a lot of questions and really trying to continue to keep ourselves educated. That required a lot of asking of questions and doing some homework on our own. But I think the most important thing was to keep an open conversation and dialogue with our boys. Because as much as our children come out, parents have to come out. And I know it's not easy for all parents. We were very fortunate, I think, that, we were very accepting from the beginning, but we do know that's not the case for all families. And, sometimes it's that initial rejection and then the closing of the door and the conversations don't happen. And I just believe that it's been important for us in our journey to continue to just keep having this conversation. And it's been going on since the boys came out, and we continually talk about different things. And we've just been very, very fortunate that they both also have been very supportive of us doing this advocacy work. We did ask their permission, because when we share our story, we're sharing their story. And we just wanted to make sure that they were okay with that. But I think for me, it's really just about keeping the door open and believing that there's hope. I mean, I have seen some people that we've met through this process where their families have rejected them in the beginning, but the child's kind of kept that door open and kind of that light of hope, and they're starting to walk back in, and I think that's amazing.
What I would say to a parent who's struggling with this, with their child coming out, is first just to love their child. That's your primary responsibility, is to love your child unconditionally, whoever they are and whatever their identity is. Love them, and then, as Karen had touched on, is to get answers to your questions. Talk to your child, talk to other parents, perhaps other experts who have gone through this process, who might have the information and answers to your questions. I read many books, I attended workshops and seminars, talked to people, and most importantly, we connected with somebody who we consider to be a mentor, who helped us through this journey, somebody who has a trans child. And that was probably the most important connection or relationship we have developed, is to have a mentor who could help us through this journey.
I just think that for me, I've come to a place of realizing everybody's journey is different, and how they process through their journey is going to be different. And so I think we've tried to be deliberate of not telling people to do it a certain way, but to try to be supportive, and especially in the Christian community, to help them to realize that, God created our sons in His image, and He does love all His children. And so I think if we always keep coming back to that as a core, especially in the Christian community, that I'm hoping that more people will be more accepting of LGBTQ and our sons. I'm just always hopeful that parents can be loving of their children and continue to have a relationship with them, because we've just been so blessed to have a really wonderful ongoing relationship, even as they're adults.
One thing I would like to add is parents who are struggling through their child coming out, just feel like you're not alone. There is a community out there of parents of LGBTQ children who are supportive, who want to provide comfort and support. Organizations like PFLAG really help parents who are going through this process. And it is definitely what they refer to as a journey. It may take years to get to the end of that journey, but just feel confident that there are people there to help you through that journey.
And the last thing I think I thought about that I would add is there is a grieving process. I think when our boys first came out, I didn't realize it, but our older son had told our younger son that, you're going to have to allow mom and dad to grieve the life that they thought we were going to have. And as much as I didn't think I was going to do that, I did. I didn't realize it at the time, but in retrospect and kind of reflecting back, I do think we did grieve a few things, in the process of what we thought, we were going to have with them. But, I think on the other side of all of that, the life and, the wonderful life that they have for themselves, I mean, we couldn't be more blessed. So, we feel like this has been a really special journey.